Good evening, everyone. This is the INFOWARS Nightly News. I'm Darren McBreen. It is Friday, July 27th, 2012. And here's a quick look at what's coming up.
Tonight on the INFOWARS Nightly News, Darren McBreen follows up on yesterday's bombshell about the UN gun treaty that does ban guns. We focus on Article 15, which is a gateway for foreign troops to enforce the UN's gun-grabbing treaty. Plus, the Second Amendment wins an altercation in a Salt Lake City grocery store.
Then, before the suspect could find another victim, a citizen with a gun stopped the madness.
Also, we have confirmed reports straight from Big Sis that she is using drones for our, quote, public safety. And Aaron Dyke sits down with Fleshing Out Skull and Bones author Chris Milligan. This is a marathon interview you won't want to miss. All this and more on tonight's INFOWARS Nightly News.
All that and more coming up during the next hour, but we begin this evening with the Trojan horse that is the UN Arms Trade Treaty. The document has been leaked. We have analyzed it thoroughly, and it does ban guns. Aaron Dykes posted a detailed analysis of the treaty. You can see it right there on Infowars.com. Please read the article. Spread this information to everyone you know who values our Second Amendment. Because the effort to disarm America is underway. We're going to take a look at some of the specifics in the treaty. Gun registries. That's a list of everyone who owns a firearm. The UN will naturally have access to all this information, along with our own corrupt government. They want a list of background checks. They want to control the import and export of firearms of all types, small arms included. And the treaty also obligates states to establish national control systems. So there is no specific provision for individual persons, individual gun owners, contained in this dangerous treaty. And you know the mainstream media is going to do everything they can to cover this up. They've already launched their aggressive propaganda campaign. And right here, here's an article today. This is a whitewash article from AP, which includes a fact check. Treaty unlikely to curb U.S. gun rights is the title. And I tell you what, you put the establishment media fact check side by side to our analysis and next, put it next to the actual document itself, and there's no doubt about it. This treaty is about complete disarmament of the American people. If you still don't believe it, or if you're not totally convinced by now, wait, there's more. We're going to go over some more, folks. I mean, this is huge. I can't stress enough how vitally important all this information is. Because we are talking about the last line of defense. The battle line has been drawn. Let's go back. I want to take a look at some more of this Article 15. And here it is, Article 15, international assistance. In fulfilling the obligation of this treaty, and that means after Obama signs it and it gets passed in the Senate, the United States will be considered obligated to the UN. Never thought I'd live to see the day. But Article 15 goes on to say that other states, when they say other states, or let's say they say state parties, what they really mean is other countries, all right? So state parties shall afford one another to the widest measure of assistance, and it even says that other countries will be allowed to take part in investigations. So they'll be permitted to investigate American citizens. They can even take part in prosecutions and judicial proceedings in relation to any violation of the UN Arms Treaty. So there you have it, an effort to totally disarm the American people, and it includes foreign intervention. And if you don't believe that they are training foreign troops on U.S. soil, take a look at this exclusive video shot in Chicago. This actually shows Polish military and FBI. They're training with Illinois National Guard. That's right, Polish troops on American soil. And I don't know if you noticed, somewhere in the video it actually shows Polish troops. They participate with firearms moving American citizens. It's even got Boy Scouts in there somewhere. Now, I mentioned earlier that the treaty, the UN Arms Treaty, it includes aggressive background checks. And we're going to take a look right now at a video that was just taken a couple days ago with Barack Obama. And as timing would have it, you know, following the recent tragedy in Aurora, Colorado, well, Barack Obama had this to say about gun control.
But I also believe that a lot of gun owners would agree that AK-47s belong in the hands of soldiers, not in the hands of criminals. That they belong on the battlefield of war, not on the streets of our cities. I believe the majority of gun owners would agree that we should do everything possible to prevent criminals and fugitives from purchasing weapons. That we should check someone's criminal record before they can check out a gun seller. That a mentally unbalanced individual should not be able to get his hands on a gun so easily.
All right, that's key right there. What he said at the end right there is key. A mentally balanced individual. And, you know, on the surface, that sounds fine, right? I mean, who would argue with that? We want to make sure that you're sane, you're not a lunatic before you purchase a gun. But who does the government consider sane? You know, that's the key right now, because now it's up to them. They are in control. They are ones who decide who is sane enough to purchase a firearm or who is sane enough to actually own a firearm. And we've read the documents where they consider, you know, returning vets to be potential terrorists, very unstable. I mean, anyone with post-traumatic stress disorder, they're not getting a gun, folks, man. I'm telling you, they'll probably even diagnose people or vets with PTSD that don't even have it. All right, so this is getting out of control. You know, and this got me thinking about all these lists that are out there right now that the government put together where they consider, you know, average American citizens as dangerous. For example, now the Patriot movement is on the FBI's radar. LA Times even released a report that characterizes the sovereign citizen movement, that's me, and they consider that now a major threat. They even say it's on par with Islamic terrorism. It actually states that there are more than 100,000 Americans, that all those people are domestic terrorists as a result of their affiliation with the Patriot movement. So how many of those people will pass a UN background check? Because if you're a Tea Partier, for example, or if you value your Second Amendment, if you're a constitutionalist, chances are they're going to think that, you know, you're going to be put in that terrorist or potential terrorist category. It says it right there. Chances are they're not going to allow you to have a gun. And that's just one of the many terror watch lists that have surfaced lately. Oh, here we go. What you're looking at right now, this is a screenshot from the Activist Post where they list 25 reports that can put you on the terror watch list. And, you know, this was created for local police and federal authorities to respond to, you know, this is basically an implementation of the Citizen Spy Program, or what they call the Snitch Program. The FBI has now made it public, and this is their Communities Against Terrorism. They have flyers, and they ask the public to report suspicious activity. And what they consider suspicious, as you can see right here, they're simply everyday activities. Things like, well, they want you to be on the lookout for people who travel long distances, people with burn marks, people who pay with cash. Let's say you have an anti-government bumper sticker. You might be a terrorist. Let's say you're new to the area, or let's say you're reluctant to provide personal information when you go rent a car, for example. I mean, the list goes on and on. If you're wearing a backpack, if you're into martial arts, I mean, the list is out of control. Take a look for yourself. It's on INFOWARS.com. Just search for, it's called 25 reports that can put you on the terror watch list. Check it out. All right, and I think that, you know, that list is important to point out because it clearly demonstrates just how out of control our rogue government has become. And, you know, they're even making us domestic terrorists. So, you know, and who do they consider mentally unstable? You know, so if they're going to put us on a terrorist list, chances are they will consider you and me to be mentally unstable. And if you don't think our military is capable of gun confiscation, well, we're about to show you a practice run in New Orleans. They actually did this. Check it out.
You say guns will be taken?
Yeah, no one will be able to be armed. We will take all weapons.
Today in New Orleans, they got a lot tougher on the holdouts.
Police department, anyone home?
Not only the flooded areas, but New Orleans' driest and wealthiest neighborhoods, too. Police department! The police and National Guard going street by street, house to house, sometimes entering open houses with guns drawn, and instructions to disarm anyone inside.
Let's go to Chris in Oklahoma. Chris, you're on the air on the Alex Jones Show. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Hells Ranger, how's it been?
It's good. It's good here, man. How about yourself?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. I was with the 45th Infantry Brigade, Delta Company, 1st of the 279, 2nd Platoon. During Hurricane Katrina, I'm kind of calling it in on yesterday's subject. I'm sorry about that.
It's all right.
But I don't. It's just I've always wanted to get a hold of you guys and kind of get the word out there for those that still have that slight hesitation in the back of their head that gun confiscation can't and won't happen here. It already has. And I was only 21 years old, just really gung-ho, really dedicated to the Army, especially to the infantry. And I did whatever I was told.
And what did they ask you to do?
Oh, let's see, the first thing we did was we got a 3-week, a book full of 3-week-old 911 phone calls, right? And then we had to go around and answering all the phone calls. So we were like cadaver dogs for about 3 weeks. And in between them, we would run night missions. And here's the thing. A lot of people may think that they'll see this on the news or they'll have time to get ready when the crap hits the fan or whatever. It's just, it's a truck, you know what I mean? It's a group of trucks. They pull up, they stack right on your home, as we did, and we broke entry. Yeah, we would yell out, Oklahoma Army National Guard, is anybody in need of assistance? But that's as we were booting in the door.
But wait a minute, it sounds like you weren't part of the Oklahoma National Guard. I mean, you were U.S. military. Yeah,
I was activated. I think about a week after Katrina, I was watching it on the news, and Sheriff Kamiko of Fox 23 told me before my unit even got a hold of me that I was going to New Orleans.
Wow. So when
we got sent in, and we were the very, very first boots on the ground. Alpha Company.
And you were confiscating firearms?
Left and right, yes. And we were also monitoring the New Orleans police because we kept having, like the first day we had this little beautiful redheaded lady come up.
All right, wait a minute. We're almost out of time. Will you stay on the line for us, please? I want to continue with you on the other side. Stay on the line with us. This is fascinating. We're going to continue this right here on the Alex Jones Show. We'll be right back.
That happened today in this wealthy neighborhood where homeowners had armed themselves to protect their mansions. Residents were handcuffed on the ground. In the end, police took their weapons but let them stay in their homes.
They were a little bit threatened because our weapons were bigger than their weapons.
Chris Montgomery says he'd rather be in Iraq than patrolling American neighborhoods.
Walking up and down these streets, you don't want to think about the stuff that you're going to have to do if somebody pops around the corner.
I mean, shoot an American.
Yeah.
We have Chris on the line from Oklahoma relating a story about gun confiscation in New Orleans and that entire region following Hurricane Katrina several years ago. And Chris, go ahead. You were describing how you and your team were kicking in doors and confiscating firearms from people. Did anybody resist? Did anybody ever shoot back? What happened?
Well, we had a couple of people resist verbally, and they got stuffed and cuffed very violently. We throw them in the back of the 5-ton or the deuce and a half or whatever, and then we take them out to the Greyhound bus station, which was the police station at the time. We, like what I was saying, like before we came up, or before the break, I think it was like the second day we were there, this redheaded lady came up to...
in a Salt Lake City grocery store.
Then, before the suspect could find another victim, a citizen with a gun stopped the madness.
Also, we have confirmed reports straight from Big Sis that she is using drones for our, quote, public safety. And Aaron Dyke sits down with Fleshing Out News. Darren McBreen follows up on yesterday's bombshell about the UN gun treaty that does ban guns. We focus on Article 15, which is a gateway for foreign troops to enforce the UN's gun-grabbing treaty. Plus, the Second Amendment wins an altercation.
Good evening, everyone. This is the INFOWARS Nightly News. I'm Darren McBreen. It is Friday, July 27th, 2012. And here's a quick look at what's coming up.
Tonight on the INFOWARS Nightly